Happy Saturday. Welcome back here at Laurel Park for this nice stakes event that we have going on. Keith, how you doing this Saturday?
Doing well, doing well. A little bit dry here inside, but the weather was not kind to us for this stakes-filled race card, was it?
No, it was not. But we have some interesting races coming up still with some NTOs. A couple of these horses bred nicely for and off track. Let's take a look at that track, by the way. The track is sloppy and sealed, and we are off the turf today for this stakes race. It is, again, very sloppy, very sealed. It's not very pretty out there, but let's get going on race number one. This for fillies and mares, 5.5. Switch from the turf to the dirt, back over to the 5.5. Keith, you land on the number 2, Salamina.
Yeah, we're going to fly through these races. A little bit of a late start first and some speed handicapping, some speed selection. Salamina gets a little value. 4 scratches out of the opener, 3, 4, 7, and 8. I like the improvement out of this 4-year-old filly. I think she's going to be able to handle this off track. Last time out, chased a charge, very fast fractions, held pretty well to hold second. She's moving in the right direction. 2-back race. Bahama Pearl came back to win for 40. I think she's going to kind of lay a couple lengths off the speed. La Familia will go. Sensen will be forward off the claim. You got to worry about Sensen right there from just off. I think Salamina still offers a little value in the opener. Dreaming of Audrey tries the main track. It's been a long time, but definitely capable barn who won the nightcap last night.
Trying to get a value right away on a day that might bring some value. But race number 2 starts the early pick 4. Keith, you've got a ticket rolled up. Let's see how you play it.
$16, 4 deep to get you started. 2, 3, 5, and 9. Carmel Sunrise, a firster for Brittany Russell. Scratch the 4, the 10, and 11 out of race 2. Race 3, we whittle it down a little bit. 3 and the 4, Miss Chimita unadulterated, going to be a very heavy favorite in race number 3. Scratch the 6 and the 7 out of there. Now we go even a little whittler down to a single to the 7, Bo's Bourbon, BB of the day. Then we come back 1, 10, 11, 13. $16 early pick 4.
$16 early pick 4 in this maiden claiming 12-5 for the fillies here. 5.5 on the dirt as intended. Now, obviously on the slop today. But Keith, you land on Lucidity for W.T. McMahon and Javian Toledo today.
Last year or two, 3 for 5, 4 for 5 in the money. It's pretty strong, 60% winners. First off of a trainer switch. We saw this trainer do this a couple times recently, ruling front over at Pimlico, Midnight Tequila yesterday on the turf. Lucidity turning back in distance, some questionable speed types, a bunch of horses that want to get to the front. I think it's a loop and swoop kind of trip for this one. I think we'll be able to handle the off track. You see Uncle Mo in the breeding. Theola Fuggins, another one. He had good position at Colonial Cali, sitting about 3 or 4 wide off of the pace. Just kind of fizzled through the stretch. Again, some mud breeding in the family. Uncaptured, about 15% with his wet track runners. Waverly, another one. I didn't really stand a chance last time on the major step up. The blinkers go on. Sneaky good close at Timonium. I'll use that one. And obviously Carmel Sunrise, the first for Brittany Russell. Only 2 for 7. I mean, it sounds okay for most, but with these maiden claiming firsters, the 2-year-old varieties. But both Sibs hit the board in debut. That's good. And the half-brother was like a 6-time winner. 9-5-3-2. The 9 holds value in the second.
9 holds value in the second for Keith Fusel. Race number 3 is a claiming 25 for 3-year-olds and upwards for the girls, which have never won 3 a mile here on the dirt. And we both land on the same one with unadulterated for Brittany Russell. Virgo Lynch taking a call to action on this one, yet again taking a forward front-running approach.
Yeah, it looks like giveaway time. She's going to have to deal with a little bit of speed to the inside. Romantic Comedy is quick. I think they'll get back to the early tactics with her because if unadulterated gets away with it on the lead, she's going to dictate against this group. But there's a little bit of a sneaky drop here. I don't know why they ran this horse back on the turf actually last time. The turf debut was not good. Back on the turf again. That's a little interesting to me. I'm not a trainer, so I just kind of take shots sometimes, but I just didn't figure, that move. But she's coming back against a group she should beat. Miss Chimita looks like the key horse, the 3 to rally into with Acosta. A little freshing there for Norman Cash's runner. 4-3-2-8 in the third.
4-2-3-8 for me in the third. The fourth is a maiden claiming 30 event. 6 furlongs here on the dirt for the 2-year-old, and you land on the 7, Bo's Bourbon. That is your single in your ticket for Jerry Robb and Xavier Perez.
Yeah, Bo's Bourbon. That debut was useful. Came out of the gate, got in a little bit towards the gap, had to steady slightly in the turn, just never got comfortable. But I like the way this guy kept on grinding through the stretch, laying in a little bit towards the rail. The blinkers go on. Second time out move with these 2-year-olds is good for Jerry Robb. That winner came back to run a big number 79 in a stake at Delaware. That was a fast horse. This horse was up close. I think it's going to be all systems go from the outside. Trophy Room, we've got a video. Greg Sacco coming in with a few runners this afternoon. Trophy Room, a good effort behind Quickening last time out. Showed speed, was part of like a four-way pace battle through the opening furlong, 3/16 of a mile. Callie backed out of it slightly, a couple lengths around the turn. I like this effort. This rebid along the inside wasn't quite good enough, but they're going to protect this guy off of this game effort up in New Jersey. So there you go. Trophy Room should be forward from that rail position. Has the ability to stay around. I don't think this little stretch out to 6 furlongs should be a problem. He's going to have to, keep up with the 7. The interesting firster is the 3, Barb's Pride.
Yep.
Dale Cap had this one in a maiden special weight. Scratched. Yes, on the turf. Scratched. Now in for the 30. Interesting little move. Shaman Ghost, kind of a lower percentage with the first-time starters, but I like the family. Have to just wave and smile on a couple other good runners. So Dale with these firsters should be okay. 7-1, 3-4.
1-3-7-4 with Barb's Pride. An interesting work on September 11th at 5 furlongs on a sloppy track. That was just shy of the bullet work. So that was a good indicator for me with Barb's Pride. But race number 5 starts the pick 6. And I just wanted to take it. I go wide on a couple of these races 5 and 6. You could go any which way. Race number 8, I single in on the Brad Cox Shippen coming off of the layoff because that horse is so strong on a dirt with moisture in it as well. And then I single in on. I have 2 singles. I go in with Bliss this. I could have gone 4 or 7 on that, but I wanted to keep this ticket somewhat reasonable, so I keep it at a $60 ticket, just kind of giving you advantage of how wide you can go in some of these events.
You didn't want to make it a $120 ticket?
I mean, I did, but I don't know if
we're all made of money here,
I
Callie.
did, but I don't know if you would have appreciated that. Race number 5 starts our stakes action here today in the Laurel Fraternity. Originally a mile and 16th on the turf. Let's switch it over to a mile on the dirt here, the one-turn mile. And Keith, you land on the number 10, Freedom Road, as a main track only. We have 4 MTOs coming in off of the scratches here today. Let me just announce the scratches really quick. The number 2, Data Man. The number 3, Dandy Handyman. The number 4, Fire Baron, and the number 7, Hendrickson, which leaves plenty of room for interpretation in this race.
Yeah, this race gave me fits. So did the Salima. It's usually these races usually used as launching pads for these 2-year-olds, right? Into the latter part of the 2-year-old season, into the 3-year-olds, and we've seen some good ones come through here at Laurel Park. I remember sharing a couple years ago, ran real big. So, I'll take a shot with Freedom Road. Pulled a major upset in debut, $20,000 purchase, 27-1. Got a little bit of a setup at Monmouth Park for the Sacco runner. Came back and ran credible. Was a little keen. I went and watched that video this morning. A little keen early, called 3 and 4 wide. Made a little move, backed up, and actually tried to come back ever so slightly through the final furlong. Winning buyer that race was an 82. That was a big gaudy number. Some horses coming out of some blowout victories in their debuts. Yep. I think it was a decent field. Lasix off concerns me a little bit. Very small sample, but the 2-year-olds making their second route try for Sacco, 2 for 3 the last couple of years. So I'll go 10 and the 1, Quincy Cafe. I'll let you talk about this one. I know you mentioned that you like this horse a little bit of a price. I like the way this horse is developing for Lacey Galt. Albeit got put up for the victory, but I think still belongs in this group on the stretch out.
Absolutely. Half the Chi-Town lady who just won the test and the Bolts Landing. This one on it. If you go 2 back on a sloppy surface was even, but I like the stretch out for this one. Gets the same kind of setup in the 1-turn mile, going from the 7 furlongs to the 1-turn mile. We know this horse is okay on a sloppy surface, and then you have Lacey Gaudet, who's 25% with stretching these horses out as a barn trend. I use their manager for my stats, so they just kind of give you a little bit of a barn trend, a bit more of the last 3 to 5 months of what's going on in that barn. So, absolutely a fan of Quincy Cafe in this race.
All right, Splendor Beauty, I'll throw into the mix, too, for Claudio Gonzalez. Ran into JD earlier when I was coming in here. Likes this horse. Stayed on his left lead. But to win 2 turns first out, it's not easy to do. Was caught wide every step of the way. This horse made kind of like that knockout move, leaving the far turn, separated, and really held on well. Horse shifted in, still couldn't get by. Keys up with some other horses with Freedom Road. That's why I give a little slighter edge edge to Freedom Road. 10, 1, 13, 11 again here
11,
in race
13.
number 5.
11, 13, 8, 9. But let's get over to the race number 6, the Shaladin Stakes. 7 furlongs on the dirt as intended. You go ahead and land on the number 3, Air Token, who I thought about having underneath in my ticket for Jose Corrales, and Walter Rodriguez getting a chance here in some stakes action today.
Really liked Air Token last time at 8-1. Off a little bit quirky. Had some issues coming out of the gate, a little bit of a brush of the gate, and never got on track. That was a race always in a hurry, ran down the heavy favorite. Wonder where Craig is. But now we're going third off of a break. This horse can handle this track. I'm not terribly worried about the off track today as well. So I think Air Token will set up shop a little bit closer today. The stablemate outside, back in the woods. Look at this horse. Number doesn't reach out and grab you. Very quick, handled a sloppy sealed surface. That was second time blinkers off, first time kind of on the main track. This horse, I think, might take them a long way at a price. I'm going to key around Air Token in here. Obviously, the 2 horses to beat to me look like factored in Yodel Yehu, who's just in tremendous form and just galloped last time, sat off of that duel and really eagerly widened at Delaware Park. Factored in. Let's take a look at that video, though. This is a horse that's on its third start off of a break, has shown some bang-up ability in the past, some big numbers. This was a good field at Colonial.
It was a good field, but an interesting race over at Colonial. This one, it was a mess, frankly. He got squeezed out at the 16th. That we'll see got shut off, a horse off earlier. In fact, I kind of I have that in my notes. I forgot about that. I might have to bring this horse back into the fold for that. But in that same breath, you can see what's going to happen after this. He keeps running, which makes me think this is a good distance and a good fit for him right now today.
Like the way he was handled and ridden down to the inside around the turn. He moved up with ease and just got in that little bit of a pickle. Was he going quite as well as the horse at the outside? Maybe not, but he was game after that trouble. So he's a factor right back. 7/8, he can handle these. One at this distance, he got that real easy trip when he got that big number to do it. But I think against this group, he should be forward, especially by the time they turn for home.
Especially by the time they turn for home. I go with a bit of a price accelerator on top. Just outside horse, likes the off track, likes to be in front, has enough speed to be able to do it in this type of setup. Why not go for a little bit of a price with Hugh McMahon and John Avella?
Let's take a look. Let's take a look, Callie. Come on, accelerator. Wet track, 3 for 3. So, that works.
Yeah,
that works.
It tracks. Okay. It tracks here on the track. But race number 7 starts the late pick 4. Tim Tulloch got a ticket rounded up for us, and this is how he plays it. He goes with 5, 10, and 11 in this race. He triples in on race number 8 as well. He picks the right horses in that race. Very competitive. He singles in on the number 2, Burning Bright, draws off the MTO, going to be your morning line 9 to 5, and then goes wide in race number 10 where I single. That was probably a smarter move, but it gives us a nice $18 ticket to round out the late pick 4 today. Starting in the Salima Stakes, race number 7, mile 16th, originally on the turf, now back to the one-turn mile here now that we're off. We both go with the number 11, What an Honor.
Yeah, What an Honor has never been on the main track. 3 starts, all in Kentucky. The blinkers went on last time, handled the undulating course down at Kentucky Downs. I think he's up against some good horses. I'm looking at the off-track breeding. Honor code, the sire, 15%. Looking through the family. There's horses that have won on the main track and have done it in pretty good fashion. That's the shot. This horse stays. I like it when these trainers, these bigger name trainers, they want to keep their horses in a situation like this. Gives me a little bit of a hope. What an Honor, I think, will be, looking at the field within range. There doesn't scream to be, any screaming speed whistling right out to the front. Maybe be Mountain. The Classy One is interesting here coming in for Kelly Breen. I know the number wasn't great, but it was visually a strong race. A big-time family. Full to valedictorian. That's why I was going to like this horse at a little bit of a price on the dirt, and I line this horse a little bit lower. There's talent here. Stretching out should be a forward factor. 11, 2, 9, and 5. The 9, Majesty's Freedom, is a half to Majestic Frontier. The horse that Jerry Robb took over, and the horse just went up and up and up in talent and numbers and ran well. We know this horse can handle a route of ground with that breeding. So, I think this stretch out off the 2 sprints works for the 9 in here.
Works for the 9. Lady Azteca, who I have underneath amongst my picks. 4 for 6 so far with Sharp Azteca's progeny on a wet surface. 4 for 6 as far as winning or being second on a wet surface. So I just put that in as a little bit of a breeding price underneath. But race number 8 is the Twixt, 8.5. furlongs on the dirt for the 3-year-old and up. Girls as intended. And Keith, we both land on Coach, who I think is going to handle this surface A-OK.
I think Coach got a little bit of help here with the
Yes.
scratch of Malibu Beauty, who
Agreed.
I thought was going to. I kind of alter my picks. I originally had the 7 on top, and now that's probably going to come back and get me. But yeah, scratch the 3, scratch the 4, scratch the 8. 8 was the prime speed and has been game at a route of ground. So, Coach. We've got video going back to a race at Oaklawn, right? And Coach likes the wet track. 4 starts, 3 wins, and a second, and has been able to handle the long layoff, as indicated in this race, all from April to December. Makes this move. You see the 7-horse 3 deep on that off track. Gets the lead in between horses and able to kind of edge away. Jilted Bride right there in that race as well, right? The 4 makes the challenge. We're going to see her again today. She's got recency, Jilted Bride, as does Battle Bling. The off-track just kind of tipped the scales for me with Coach and Brad Cox.
Same. I went the same way. I had Coach underneath, and then I saw this off track, and I just put Coach right back on. This horse is it does well as an individual coming off of the layoff as well, with a barn that conditions to that stat as well. Race number 9 is the Japan Turf Cup Stakes, rounding out our stakes action here today. Originally, now we're 1.25 miles, as opposed to 1.5 miles on the turf, 1.25 miles on the dirt today. Keith, you land on the number 5, Armando R, for Damon Dovico, coming off of the main track only list.
Yeah, we had 3 scratches in here, right, Callie?
Yes.
The 3, the 8, and the 9 are out. Leaves us a field of 8. Yeah, I mean, Burning Bright is going to take a ton of play. Ran big off of a break, but is, been handled kind of with kid gloves. Have speed and has a little bit of heart. This horse battled gamely at Monmouth and that 2 other than off the return. But I think Van Scholars has a chance to go out and maybe entertain that horse off Burning Bright and keep that one honest up front. Armando R is a horse that's really kind of gotten good. He turned the corner back in April. Damon DeLavico and team has done a great job with this guy. He's running the slower paces. I go back to the race at Pimlico. He did not get a good trip that day. Slow pace, wide trip. This horse kept giving effort. He just keeps running and grinding and grinding. I think he's going to love 1.25 miles today. Little upset special there. 5-2, 11-10 with Armando R.
Keith Fusel with the upset special in Armando R in the wrap-up in the Japan Turf Cup. And let's go on to our nightcap. This maiden claiming 12-5 for the girls 3, 4, and 5 years old. For the maidens 3, 4, and 5 years old. Sorry, boys, not the girls. And you land on the number 3, Inkosi.
Nkosi. I don't know. I don't know. I just hoping it translates to winner. Does it mean winner? If it means winner, we're good. We're running short on time. We'll show a quick stat for Lacey Gaudet. It's a smaller sample, but here we go. Last 3 years on the dirt, 3 for 12, 25%, 6 for 12 in the money with the maiden claimers. First off the claim. 295 ROI. I like that. Comes off a trouble trip back in June. Definitely had some trouble in there. A couple horses came out of there to run well. Decent numbers. Bliss this is bliss this. We keep chasing. He just kind of disappoints. Maybe today's the day. I go 3, 7, 4, 8 in our last race on today's card. That's it.
I go 7, 4, 8, 1, and that is it for our stakes action here today. Let's head over to Dave Rodman for changes and scratches.